Welcome to TMAG Special Election Edition.
Well, folks, I hope that introduction lets you know that this is not just any episode of Two Middle-Aged Guys Trying to Work It Out. This is a special edition. I'm Dave, and with me, as always, and especially today on such an important, weighty day, who is with me?
I'm Chris, Dave.
Okay, all right. It's good to hear you. It's good. I was a little concerned. I know, listen, we are treading into some new territory here. We are talking about something that we're maybe not as qualified to talk about as, say, Star Wars or The Acolyte again. But we are going to do our best with this election special edition to bring people, the information they need about this, what's in the culture right now, what's in the zeitgeist. Can't turn the TV on, election this, election that. We got to do it.
This may be our most topical episode ever.
Without a doubt. So here we are, folks. I'm considering quitting the podcast right now. The pressure is that high, but I'm going to make it through. We have been getting some feedback. Why don't TMAG address election? Do a special episode on election. And so we decided, you know what, we're going to do that. We're not going to do it as a normal episode. We're going to release it, just sort of out of the normal band so that you guys could get it early. We're not going to, do a bunch of silly stuff. No games. No, we're getting right into it, right into the meat of the topic. Chris, before we get started, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I do. Also, the shocking thing is not only have we been getting requests to tackle this topic, but also, for whatever reason, it's everywhere right now. I mean, every channel talks about election.
Yep.
I can't go anywhere without seeing a headline that says election in it.
Yep.
It's just all over the place. So I don't know.
It's the new Stanley Cup.
Indeed.
And unlike the Stanley Cups, I hope this episode doesn't ruin my family, put my family into financial ruin, like all of my Stanley Cup investments did. This is heady stuff, and we're going to do our best with it. So I'll open up. 1999, MTV Films releases Reese Witherspoon, Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller, to most of us, a high school dark, and I mean dark, comedy called Election. And this movie, not necessarily a big hit at the time, but did get some critical acclaim. It tells the story of a go-getter high school girl who wants to be the high school president and is running for the election. And her teacher, Mr. McAllister, who is a little annoyed with her and is trying to make sure that she doesn't win because he finds her distasteful and thinks he got his friend fired, and he just doesn't really want to have to deal with her because civics is his area and he will have to deal with her. So it's this really interesting, well shot, well crafted movie about this high school teacher feuding with Reese Witherspoon's high school student Tracy Flick. And it was at a time when there could be sort of dark, raunchy high school comedies at late 90s, 99. And it was directed by Alex Payne, a name that is very on the nose because this movie is painful.
It is, and I had not seen it when it was originally released. I only saw it when we discovered that this was a topic that we had to address at this time of 2024. And I remember the movie coming out, and I remember seeing trailers for it. Maybe this is just the cloud of 20 plus years, but I was expecting a lighthearted comedy. Like I thought it was like a fun, No, you've already mentioned Ferris Bueller. We're going to evoke that probably several times during this conversation. I thought it was going to be like that. And what I got was a very different kind of project, and a project that confuses me, to be quite honest. And we'll get into why it confuses me later. But it's just it was not what I was expecting. And if memory serves, it's not the way it was sold. And I wonder if that's part of the disconnect I'm having with this film.
Yeah, thinking back on it, and I had no interest in it when it was out, but it did feel like it was being sold like a kind of a goofy high school comedy. But in truth, it's a dark, black, dirty comedy that makes you feel kind of icky. and you need a shower after you've watched it, or maybe watch Napoleon Dynamite to cleanse your palate or something. It's just such a dark and unpleasant film.
Well, and it plays with your sympathies.
Right.
Right? Like it sets up this Reese Witherspoon's character as the villain of the film, but if you really analyze what's happened in it, she's the victim of the film. And Broderick, who is set up as the hero of the film, is really one of the more miserable slimeball characters of the whole thing. I understand that, especially, in the late 90s, very popular to like play with perception and that kind of thing. Like it was very much a movie of its time, but I guess when I approach art that does that, I expect it to be a little bit more forthcoming. And I almost feel like this rode the line a little too hard.
Yes.
And it does not give you a clear interpretation of what its message is attempting to be.
I would agree, right? It's very confusing, very morally gray in some areas. That probably shouldn't be morally gray. I was very grossed out by all of the relationships between the teachers and the high school students, and it's an R-rated film. And when we went to, I was like, oh, I was expecting a PG-13 film, and it was a very different movie than what we got. And I just, for the life of me, can't figure out why it was moderately successful then, why it's getting why this resurgence right now? Why all this election talk?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I guess there's always that revisionist kind of thing. In the preparation I was doing for this podcast, I found a fairly recent article by A.O. Scott in the New York Times talking about how this movie was so misunderstood when it was released, and all that kind of thing. And I guess there's a tendency in popular culture to reach back and find something that maybe was a little decried back in the day, and to set it up on a pedestal and say, oh no, this was actually really good, and we just weren't smart enough back then to understand it. Maybe that's a little bit of what's going on. I don't know.
I find it to be gross, unpleasant, and I will, say if you're interested in watching a high school movie with a election in it, go watch Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, it's a much better movie with a positive message, and made by the great Jared Hess, who is a fantastic human being and good director. I would avoid, I think, the film Election. I'm doing some research on this, and I was curious what Ebert had to say. So I looked up 99. Ebert did have a show then, and he had a review. And what made this all grosser was his special guest reviewer. This is when, I'm not sure if Siskel had passed away or if he was ill, but he had special guest reviewers. His special guest reviewer for the election episode was Harry Knowles from AintItCoolNews.com. A gross, vile, disgusting human being. So it made him... And of course, Harry and Robert both liked it. They thought it was great. They thought it was darker than most teen comedies. And I just think it made me very uncomfortable. I cannot recommend this movie.
No, I really can't either. I did want to ask you, I wonder how intentional the casting of Matthew Broderick was, because I wonder if they kind of thought that he would carry that Ferris Bueller baggage and then immediately make you kind of want to root for this character.
Yeah.
Do you think there was any of that at play?
He is likable, right? Broderick, generally speaking, is likable, plays heroes, not in very much anymore at all. But yeah, I think that you would have those. He's got a certain attachment to him that would make you think, oh yeah, he's the good guy. He's Mr. McAllister. He's gonna help out. And and honestly, he made some terrible choices. It destroyed his life.
Yeah.
Through this, and it was not Tracy Flick who did that to him. He did that to himself.
And he spends the whole movie projecting onto Tracy Flick. And blaming her, and even the very bizarre ending of the movie is even him, like when you would have an opportunity to show growth and to show character development, there's a point in the film where it jumps ahead a couple of years and you run into him again and he is still every bit as angry and bitter at this Tracy Flick character. And I don't get the motivation. And because I don't get that motivation, I don't get the lesson I'm supposed to be taking out of this movie.
Yeah, there's it certainly is an imperfect film, and also a gross film, and one that I will never watch again. There was some good cinematography. There was some clever.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. No, it's fine. There's some clever ideas in the way things were presented visually. I thought, for a small picture, it was also Chris Klein's first film. Chris Klein is in some things, not in a ton.
He's like I was about to say he's like the most innocent character, but he's not even that innocent. He's just simple-minded. I don't know.
He's just simple. Yeah, but he is the most, he's not innocent, but he is the most good-hearted.
That's true. He is.
And he did not want to hurt anyone. So I'd say he's your closest to your good guy in the story. Both he and the janitor. If you watch the film closely.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But this is a tough movie, and I would say with all this going on, and sure, you can watch it if you want to be part of the zeitgeist, but I think this was going to burn out faster than Beanie Babies and Stanley Cups. So I'm not gonna recommend you jump on that train.
For anyone listening who has not seen the film, we are avoiding a ton of topics, and you could call them spoilers, or you could just call them things that we really don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But if you're going to watch the movie,
There's some pretty vile stuff in this movie.
There absolutely is, and it dictates character motivations and decisions and plot points. The setup is so weird to me because it doesn't have a payoff. And if there was a payoff where it was like, oh, okay, there was some sort of comeuppance, or there was some sort of lesson or something that it could give me, I could forgive that. But I don't know. There was nothing in this movie that I felt brought any kind of closure or made the previous 2 hours make any kind of sense to me. But they're planning a sequel, so there you go.
Are they planning a sequel?
Yeah, apparently it's been in production for the last couple of years with Reese Witherspoon's production company. I guess she has some positive thoughts about this role. And so it's based on a novel, and there actually was a sequel novel written. And so the sequel film is tied into that, and I didn't care enough to look about what the story was or anything like that. But the last reference I saw to it was in 2022 on Wikipedia, so it may have fizzled out by now. But at one point, they were talking about doing a sequel. So hopefully, if they get that together in 4 years or something, we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so my conclusion is... you know what? Just ignore all this election talk. This movie's not worth your time. I do have a question for you. I mean, this is all about student council stuff in this movie. Were you ever on the student council? Did you run for anything or serve? I most certainly did not.
Nope, yeah. Sure didn't. I spent my time in high school as a speech and debate nerd, so I didn't have time for anything else other than that. But even if I had, that's not my kind of thing. I have no interest in that kind of service.
Same for me, but not speech and debate. I was homeschooled through high school, so I spent my time in my bedroom watching Mystery Science Theater when my parents thought I was doing schoolwork.
Well, does that technically make you the president of your class?
No. I was ineligible to run because I watched too much Mystery Science Theater.
That I will be made ineligible for anything for that reason, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's worthy.
Oh, well, folks, we tried so hard to bring you guys, a view on this film that seems to be capturing everyone's attention. And you know what? We didn't like it. We think it's gross. There are other alternatives. Napoleon Dynamite. You cannot go wrong voting for Pedro. And I think that as you're looking for something to watch, go watch that.
Folks, go to twomiddleageguys.com. That is 2, the numeral 2. From that website, you can get links to our socials, to our podcasts. You can go check us out on YouTube if you want to listen to your podcast on a video medium. It's all available, all there, all the time, and we will continue to bring you regular episodes as well as special episodes that coincide with big things that are happening in the world and in the news. So with that, I bid you farewell. And honestly, I hope you don't watch Election.
Yeah, no. But I do hope you watch Napoleon Dynamite. In fact, I might go watch it right now.
Sounds like a plan, Dave.
This has been TMAG Special Election Edition.